What up, IDS Mob? It's your boy, HarryWilmington. And today, we're going to talk about how you can become the kind of guy that your girl will brag about. So, I just got back from a meetup with some old friends of mine from college. And so, there was a female friend of mine that had moved away. She came back this weekend to work on a project. And so, she was leaving tonight, but before she left, she wanted to meet up with all the crew and just hang out. So it was a collage of people from our old college, as well as some friends that she had out here in California and whatnot. And it was really nice get together, but it was mostly women. Like I'd say there were probably about 10 women and there were 5 men, and 3 of the men there were with 3 of the women that were there also. But anyway, just being in that group of people, obviously the women all sat at one table, and I ended up sitting at the table actually with most of the women. I've always found women, in terms of their conversations and things that they talk about, a lot more fascinating than guys. Not that guys don't have interesting things to talk about, but I find women are typically better and more diverse in the wide array of topics that they're able to talk about. And so I just happened to be, I got there first, so I happened to be sitting at the table where all the women got together and talked, so that's where I was. And so it was interesting because at some point, 2 of the women at the table, one of them who was my friend that was out here visiting, and another one who I hadn't seen in a while since pre-pandemic, they both got asked by some of the other women about how their dating life was going, how their relationship life was going. And so the first woman that talked was talking about how she met this guy before the pandemic started and how they'd been dating for 2 years now. And she just started going on about how great this guy was and the type of job that he did, that he has I think he has his own company. And so he's been working at it for years now, and it's really built up to be a success. And they were obviously asking, how well does he treat you? And she was like, oh, he treats me so well, and this and that. And then he eventually ended up showing up, so we got to actually meet the guy. But yeah, she was just having all these praises about him and the stuff that he does, and just, was really putting on a good, basically a good biography of who he was to the girlfriends around. So then my other friend got asked about her dating life. So she, come to find out, had also been dating somebody for the last year. And she was also bragging about what he did, about him having his own company, where something involving baths and massages and stuff. I don't know what it was. But the point is, her talking about what he was doing, she was seemingly very pleased with what he was doing in his life and how successful he's been, and just, again, how well he treats her. And so it was interesting being in that circle and hearing 2 women really talk about just how much they like their guys, but more importantly, just, why these guys were so great in the first place to these other women that were there. And it got me thinking, that's the kind of guy that you should really strive to be. Is that you want to be a guy that when a woman goes out and about and she's sitting with her woman friends, or she's sitting with her family, and she gets asked about you, that she's able to legitimately, without having to lie or feel like she's putting on some kind of show, she can legitimately talk about you in a way that is basically bragging. That's basically saying, my guy, I feel, is the best guy out there, and he treats me well, and he's successful, and he treats others well, and he's just like the light of my life. And you want women to say these things. And so it's interesting because I think guys over the last few years have gotten a little jaded. There's a lot of stuff out there in the dating advice world about how women only want, certain types of guys, and they got to make X amount of money. They got to look a certain way. One, I find most of that stuff is absolutely not true. But to the point, on the off chance that there's a woman out there that does want a guy that's successful and that is cheating away, all these other things, what is so bad about that? Because the reality is, when she goes around other people, there are people that were in her life before you got there that are looking out for her and looking out for her best interest. And so she's going to go to these people. They're going to ask her about her dating life and what's going on. And like I said, women don't want to have to lie about that. Like for her to have to go in front of her friends and family and say, oh, you're a great guy, when behind closed doors, you're not treating her all that great, that really weighs on a woman, because most women, most good women that legitimately want to be honest with people and care about people, don't want to lie to those same people about her relationship, okay? And so, like I said, there's been a lot of toxic stuff about how women want certain things or whatever. But like I said, I find most women are great. Most women are out there and they're passionate and they're kind and they're caring and they're loving. And they simply want to find a guy that they're going to be able to show that love to, but also get that love back in return. And more importantly, it's not that you have to be the most successful guy of all time or make the most money ever or be the most handsomest person, but it does help on some level if you are a guy that has certain things about himself that will allow a woman to happily talk about you in a way to her friends and family that advertise you as a great guy because you're actually a great guy, all right? So I just kind of wanted to go over 3 things that you need to start really looking at in order to become the guy that your next woman is going to be happy to talk about and tell all her friends about and her family about how great you are, okay? So the first thing is your life goals. You need to really get an understanding of who you are and what kind of things you want to do in your life to be successful. Now, again, this doesn't necessarily have to be money-wise, but I'll be honest, the money does help. Like you having some kind of steady, consistent income coming in, or something you're doing that can show that you, to her, are a safe bet. Like most women don't want to date men that just haphazardly maybe have money coming in or sometimes struggling, or they go from like having a lot of money one day to having to stay on somebody's couch the next day. Like that doesn't give a woman any kind of feelings of safety about you being a good choice for her. But more to the point, if you don't have goals, that can equate in her mind to a guy that doesn't really know how to handle his own life, let alone being able to then handle her when she comes into the picture, okay? And a guy with goals is a guy that has a plan of action. Women love men that have plans of action. So if up to this point, you're still living at your mom's house, or you're in your 30s and you haven't figured out, what path you want to take to be successful, then you may want to consider taking a few months off from dating to figure that out. Figure out what you really care about, what you're compassionate about, what things drive you. What are the things that you could do every day for free? Figure out what that thing is, and then figure out how to make money at that thing so you'll rarely get tired of it, okay? But you have to ask yourself these questions and get yourself into place first before you can consider even wanting to take on a woman. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're not successful in some form of capacity, when a woman comes into the picture, it's going to be very hard to try to juggle her while also trying to juggle potentially trying to make yourself successful. Like, it's not that you can't do it without women. And honestly, a woman being in the picture can give you some different perspectives on how to achieve that success. But you need to at least be on some kind of pathway towards that. That way, if nothing else, a woman can say, oh man, my guy's working at this and his company's coming together. He's getting this job promotion, or he's created this thing. He's doing this thing that I can see going this way. Like, women want to see that you're progressing towards something, of some kind of goal, some kind of end game, okay? So consider that. Second thing to work on is your inner person. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest, all right? There are some of you out there that are upset that you can't get women, but when you get around them, your baggage comes out. All the hurt you've experienced in your life, all your pain, all the various wrongs that were done to you by other women, those things, if they aren't dealt with, are going to be thrown upon the new woman that you try to get with. And it's not going to make her feel good, because you're going to still have triggers that you haven't dealt with. You're going to have previous issues that are going to come into play in your new relationship. You're going to start seeing her do stuff and have flashbacks to, this reminds me of when this happened as a kid, and or when this other girl did this to me, and you're going to be preemptively shooting yourself in the foot. So if you want a woman to go out there and talk about how great of a guy you are, you need to become that person internally as well, okay? This might mean you have to go to therapy. This might mean you have to look up a bunch of YouTube videos to try to figure out what's wrong with you. It might mean having to do a survey of friends, of family, of previous relationships to figure out what their lens is of you and what they see in you that could use improvement, okay? And this is one of those things that when you do it, it's going to hit at your ego. Some of these things that are internal that you haven't dealt with, that other people are shouting out to you, you're not going to want to hear. But if you want to get to a place where you actually are a great guy, you have to become that person internally. You have to do the work. Once you do the work, then you can go out there as your authentic, also we'll say authentic self, but also as the better version of yourself that has dealt with their trauma in the correct way, to where you're not going to throw that upon another person and they're not going to have to experience your baggage through you. Okay? And then the third way you want to become a guy that your girl will brag about is learning to treat others nicely. And I know, especially for you recovering nice guys, that's going to be a probably confusing thing to hear, because you're thinking, well, Harry, I've been nice this whole time and girls still don't date me. I feel like I'm getting, crapped upon half the time. Like, why would I want to learn to do that? But here's the thing. Again, I think there's a lot of poisonous media out there that has made us believe as guys that women only want like toxic guys or bad boys, okay? I was at dinner tonight when the one woman that was talking about her boyfriend, so happily, by the way, when her guy came in and he was dressed up in a relatively nice, like, little suit jacket, and he had a nice shirt on, and he went over to her and kissed her and sat next to her and talked to her. And there was no vibe I got from this guy that he was a bad guy. He was trying to be a jerk to her. He was just a guy that just really cared for her and just wanted to be there for her. And that's honestly how you want to be. But the thing is this: you can't be mean to other people and then be nice to her, because those things aren't going to correlate. And she's going to see that. She's going to see you out there being mean to waiters and servers, or talking back to your parents, or doing whatever that will give her the idea that, wait a minute, this is a different guy, because he's treating these people over here like really rudely, but he's treating me okay. But at some point, he's going to do that to me, right? So you got to learn to treat people with respect, with kindness. This does not mean you need to be a doormat. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. You have to obviously set boundaries and be able to create the kind of lifestyle where you know what you want and you know what your boundaries are, and people won't be able to step over those things. But that doesn't mean that you can't be gentlemanly, you can't be kind and caring, because again, most women actually want guys that are going to treat them well. Relationships that go the distance aren't usually the ones where the guy is being a jerk or a secret bad boy or trying to like neg hit her or do all these other negative things. Typically, it's the ones where the guy has respect for her, she has respect for him. They don't always have to agree on everything, but at the times that they do clash, they're able to talk about it. They're able to see each other's perspectives, or at least talk about them without completely judging the other person. Those are the ones that go a long way. And so in terms of being able to learn how to treat others well, part of this does mean learning how to do proper conflict resolution. It means being able to become the kind of guy that can objectively listen to a different point of view, not completely judge it, hear the other person out, and then based on that, assess it and figure out if there's any common ground there or not, okay? Because that's gonna be a big thing in a relationship, is that you two are not gonna always agree. You're gonna have some things that you're into that she's not gonna like. She's gonna be into some things you probably don't like. There are gonna be times where you guys say things to each other where it's a miscommunication and you gotta talk about it. And so she wants to be able to see that when that kind of stuff happens, you're going to treat her with respect. But that starts with you treating others with respect. Again, your friends, your family, your coworkers, other people that are already in your life, you need to learn how to treat them better so she can see that, okay? Because again, she's going to go to her friends. She's going to want to talk about what kind of guy you are in terms of your job, or what kind of success you're having, or what kind of success you're building towards. She's going to want to be able to talk about the kind, caring person you are, and how you did this thing for her that was so nice, and how you seem to really have a kind, caring attitude towards other people. And she's going to want to be able to have her girlfriends recognize you as a stable guy that really is who he says he is in terms of how well you treat her, okay? So be that guy. And it's not a hard thing to build to. I know there's been a lot of, if you've been a recovering nice guy, you're probably that guy that's heard like these things, or women don't want it anymore. And I think there's like 10 to 15% of women out there that are in that lane of wanting that bad boy or jerk guy, like even in their 30s and 40s, but they get so heavily highlighted that we guys think that that's all that's out there. But for my dating life, even with the women that it didn't work out with, most of them were kind, caring. They were, women that just because we didn't, gel on a relationship level, I didn't have anything where I thought that they were coming to me with any kind of malicious intent. Like most women are out there, their whole lives trying to find one guy that they can treat right and that they hope that's going to treat them right, because they come with so much caring and they come with like so much emotion to where they're ready to be there for you. And they also want the guy to be the same way. And then they want to be able to tell their girlfriends, in part to give their girlfriends hope. Because, women also have, unfortunately, a negative lens of guys where they think that we're all just out for sex and just out to be jerks to them and out to, use them in some kind of way. And you know that you as a guy, you're not trying to do that. You're trying to be there for her as well. So it's one of those things where you have to do for her, and she's going to already come willing and ready to do for you, but she might need to see a little bit of you doing that first in order for her to open up the floodgates. Because once women open up the floodgates to you of them wanting to care for you and be kind for you, oh my God, they're going to give so much more than you could ever possibly do. Okay? So yeah, become that guy. And if you need help trying to figure out the steps to start that out, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, check out some of my programs, and hopefully I'll be able to help you get into that frame of mind, whether it's figuring out, how to better focus on the goals that you need to have, or trying to help you figure out what past traumas could be possibly blocking you from having the relationship success that you really, really want. We can talk about that kind of stuff via my programs and also via one-on-one coaching. So go to the website and check that out, all right? Anyway, guys, that's all I got for today. I'm Harry Wilmington. If you want to support the show, you can subscribe at youtube.com/HarryWilmington. You can also leave monetary support by going to introvertdatingsuccess.com, clicking on the coaching tab, and, not the coaching tab, clicking on the tip jar tab to show your monetary support. There you go. All right. That's all I got for right now, guys. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next show. I'm out. Peace.